If you have barely 30,000 miles on your BMW X1 and you are getting this notification, you might be in for a surprise. Having to change brake pads after 30,000 miles on a vehicle, I've never had that happen in my life, but you will see it on your BMW X1. Fortunately, you don't have to take it to the dealer with your own scan tool, which I highly recommend getting, and a couple of parts, including a rear brake wear sensor. Not very expensive set of pads. You could do this job yourself. There's a number of scan tools on the market. There's some under $200 that are brand specific. You could get it for the BMW, and it takes care of all the basic reset functions that you might run into, along with ones for Mercedes and other vehicles. This one, I spent a little bit more. This is a launch brand. It's a 190, or let's see, what is that? A 129E. And I went ahead with this because not only does it take care of what I need on this BMW, I could also use it on my other vehicles. So there's added value to it. And if you're watching this video, it's because you either do or want to do your own basic maintenance on the vehicle. So you should have the tool to do it. And as you can see, if it's not the brake reset, you might do your own oil changes. You could do your oil resets, battery reset if you replace the battery. So it'll be a handy tool for you. And it just takes a couple of steps to get in. Takes a few moments, cycle through all your vehicle settings, and comes up with your options. Okay, and I could hear it retract. So now, as you see, both of the actuators are in the installation position. So now we could go to the back of the car and start replacing our brakes as you would on any other vehicle. At this point, we could turn off the ignition. Okay, this is what you're going to see when you get your tire off of your car. We have our caliper. Here's our brake wear sensor, and that runs through a cable to a connector up here. We'll be replacing that. And in back, this unit is the electric mechanism to work your electronic parking brake. And what we have too are caliper bolts, are 7mm hex, and they're hidden behind these caps. Let's get these caps removed. They're just little plastic plugs. And you try to get this sensor unplugged. That slipped right out. And that goes through a clip right here. And there's another clip holding it behind. Pop it out of there. Get it out of this holder. Press the tab, pull it apart. And here's our old sensor that will be replaced. We already retracted the emergency brake, so we should be able to get in and pry. And move the piston back easily. It is moving very easy. There, that's fully depressed. And now we can remove the caliper. Alright. On a side note, this is the VTech power ratchet that I was sharing in a previous video. It's been pretty good doing its job. One thing I ran into caught me by surprise a little bit. I was assembling a welding cart, had a lot of fasteners, and while assembling my handle fell off. Turned out they just put a solid steel pin in through the plastic to hold this lever on, and it worked out from use. I pressed it back in, did the same thing again, so quick fix, works fine. I just put a cotter pin in its place and it's been good ever since. But I guess that's the difference between engineering and copying engineering. Alright, so let's get these out. And one thing I did forget, on the front we have a clamp that has to be removed. Alright. With these short hoses, I'm going to grab a piece of wire to keep that caliper suspended. Alright. So we have one of our pads. Still has a reasonable amount of material left. And I guess that's been one of the complaints, that wear sensor trips a little earlier than it should. Let me slip this other one out, take a look at it. here's our other pad. So that had a few miles left on it. Alright, let me get these rotors cleaned up and get these mounting points cleaned and lubricated. We'll get the new pads on and put this back together. Alright, brake pads are in place. Get this caliper back where it belongs. I put a little bit of lubricant on the pins. I get them started. Alright. And we'll drive those back on. And don't have to make them too tight. Should be fine just like that. Now the next part is getting our wear sensor snapped back into place. And that will be this. Alright. Okay, that is in its seated position. Okay, now we'll just reroute this cable, plug it back into the little mounts, and we go back up around the shock. Okay, I'll get this plugged back in. Snapped. Back into its brackets. Alrighty. And there's one other little mount on this side. That looks good. So that's not too bad. New pads are on, new wear sensor. The only thing unique to anybody that's done brake jobs in the past. New pads are in place with 30,000 miles. I'm certainly not worried about changing rotors right now. Alright, last step is getting this retainer clip back on. And pops in place just like that. Goes on easier than it comes off. See the new pads in place, retainer clips on. So it looks like this side is good to go. Now we just have to repeat on the other side, minus the wear sensor. And with only 30,000 miles, we don't have to worry about these rotors this time around. Okay, here we are back in the car. Took care of the brakes on the other side, and this was the first time I was into the brakes on this vehicle, so it's always a little learning curve. But that second side, knowing the little tricks from the first, it was done 3 times faster, so it was no effort at all. So now we are going to go back into our brake reset. And execute BMW. Ignition switch is on. Alright, workshop mode, automatic brake hold, communication with control unit is okay, continue, and now we want to deactivate the installation position, continue, and continue. Continue. End service function. Service function finished. Now we want to do our service reset. Oh, here we go. Let's look back down here. F3 rear brakes. So we'll pick F3. Oh, and it says more than 80% is available. Reset anyway. Well, yes, because we just changed them. So let's see if we could catch it up top. There it is. And we see that it reset in the system. And it states that it's been performed. So now as you see the other options for resets, brake fluids at 97%. Looks like we have 24 months. So when time comes and your brake fluid needs to be flushed, that's another project you could do yourself, and you have the tool to assist in the reset. But other than that, we are done. Yes, I want to end the service function, continue, and we will back out of this. Yeah, I want to end the diagnostic. And there we go. So now I will start up the vehicle, take it for a little test ride, and we should be in good shape. You could do this too. It wasn't too bad. So thanks for joining me today, and don't be afraid to give it a shot. Have a great day.